You see, the presentation of eurythmy quite especially reveals that the melody takes up the actual spirit and carries it on. Fundamentally speaking, everything else does not add the spirit of the musical element, being, at all events, a more or less illustrative element. But in order to gain a real conviction of this for yourselves, I ask you to try, first and foremost, to seek the whole human being in the musical element. The eurythmist is really obliged to study the way in which the human being streams out, as it were, into the musical element. It is a fact that when we stand with our physical form, whether slim or short, fat or thin, that part of us which is actually visible, this is really the very least part of us. It even remains, in fact, for a short period after we have gone through the portal of death. But yet, how much of the human being is present in the corpse? When we look at the human being as he stands before us in the physical world, it is only the corpse, or hardly more than the corpse, that may be seen. Now, in music, the physical form of man corresponds to what may be called the least significant of the musical elements. It represents the beat. It is, therefore, quite natural that with the bar line there should be an emphasis of the bodily form, a holding on to yourself. When you pass over to rhythm, presenting the short-long, you already go beyond what is represented by the human bodily form. In rhythm, you already show a very considerable part of the life of your soul. With beat in eurythmy, you always feel that a person's heaviness is the determining factor in its expression. When the beat is shown in eurythmy, you always feel, as you just saw from these attempts, that it becomes evident how heavy a person is. A heavier person will be able to mark the beat in eurythmy better than a lighter person. This is less apparent in the case of rhythm. Rhythm brings the human being into movement. And here already it is quite easy to differentiate whether the movement has artistic taste or is tasteless. Whether the movement is permeated with soul, slow, quick, slow, quick. You see, here the etheric element in the human being makes its appearance. It is the etheric human being which is revealed in rhythm. If, however, we turn our attention to melody, which conveys the actual spirit in the musical element, then the astral being of man is revealed. When you are active in the musical element, the whole human being, with the exception of the ego, is brought into play. It is really true to say, quote, as physical human being marking the beat, as etheric human being expressing the rhythm, as astral human being evolving the melos. It is thus that I appear before the world. Close quote. And you see, the moment when you pass over from the musical realm to that of speech, the ego steps in. Naturally, speech is then transmitted into the astral element and even into the etheric, but its original impulse lies in the ego.